Hey, Kaga back again. Today I just want to talk about some uh, sports games from back in the old days with NHL, where they still had in be a pro mode at least superstar showcase and stuff, which got removed later on for some unknown reason to NBA. Primarily, we'll talk about NBA. I used to try and play NBA, but at the time I had only a PC, so I didn't get the NBA with the story mode back then. The story mode was reserved to PS, which at the time I did not own, so I couldn't play the story mode that I wanted to play. But the game was good anyways. With it, I think it was 13 or 14 that I tried to play. But besides that, nowadays NBA, since I don't know, at least the last 4 have been basically copy paste with a bit of a different story. But that's not my main issue with sports games nowadays. My main issue with sports games nowadays is the outrageous price range that they are trying to make people to pay. The $80 range of base game and then include extra versions for deluxe uh, and then above deluxe the ultimate, let's call, but they're called different for NBA. And then they have the audacity to have a battle pass inside the $80 base price game. Now I don't have a problem if you have a battle pass within a game. Certain games can have a battle pass, that's fine. I don't support it when there is an $80 base price and then you still expect them to dish out money for a battle pass. Either have it free to play and have your battle pass and whatever else you want, or have your base price by default market value and leave it. I don't like to see games that are full priced games and you have to still pay for a battle pass or cosmetics or anything else. I do support the fact that you have expansions like DLCs, yeah? That is fine. Sure. Add content, ask for a price, that is fine. What I don't like it is when you have clear-cut content like cosmetics, for example, and then you sell the said cosmetics for single-player games, for example. Now, for example, not a sports game, but Assassin's Creed does this. They could have these skins and stuff in-game, but no, they sell it separate. And people let them get by it, because that's all there is. The biggest difference for me is something like Dynasty Warriors series. The Sengoku Basara series they have at least in Japan. So it's a really fun game. I played a bit of the first one that was called something with King. It didn't go by Sengoku Basara. And I played an English translated one on an emulator, and they were fun. They were funny games, but we don't get that over here in our side of the world. So Dynasty Warriors left to do whatever it wants. It's like you either take it or you don't. We will dish out whatever shit we can, and you're gonna either take it or don't. Those are your 2 options, because there's nothing else on the market. And My point being is, I feel like the game scene of sports games is the same way. At this point, these companies have such a big monopoly on sports games that nobody else is really making any. That's why you only have the 2K or the EA's sports games, and they do whatever they want and they'll get away because sports games fans are gonna continue buying and buying and buying the same game year over year over year with new skin on it, even though there are no improvements or nothing. And with this, it's allowed them to do the least amount of work possible for the most amount of gain. No major improvements in their games, removed features from their games compared to previous versions, and more microtransactions. They ask the full price for a game, which, per example, let's say $80, and then you have something like Ghost of Tsushima or Baldur's Gate, and then when you compare those two games, is it really the same worth of value for that sports game that has barely anything of content in it, barely anything different from the previous title, or in this case like previous 4 titles? Does it justify the $80 price? In my opinion, it doesn't. And what's more ridiculous to that is the battle pass for nba2k24. What are they gonna introduce in the battle pass? Shoes? Anything that cosmetic that they used to have? Now specifically through a battle pass? In the battle pass, some game enhancers? Some shoes that give you bonus 3-point shot stat or dribbling stat or anything else like game advantages towards the ones that have battle pass, let's call it equipment. So it kinda doesn't make it consumer friendly, so to speak, to have them pay $80 and then have a battle pass, and then you know your game is gonna be broken, you know the game is gonna be shit, and you know the game is not any different than the previous title besides the skin and the numbers, and you're gonna put more microtransactions, put more of a price range, and so on. Now, I've enjoyed myself once in a while a sports game, but nowadays I don't play no more sports games because they're just the same copy of the other and then removed features. So it's kind of ridiculous. That's why I don't play them. And now with these microtransactions getting even more ridiculous on sports games, I don't think I'll ever return on playing sports games. Not unless they're for free or something. I just don't support that market no more. And it seems to me like they're willing to test out how far they can push their player base till they start finally saying no, and from there on figure out the best appropriate place where we can milk you and you're still gonna buy the game constantly. It's ridiculous. And all those companies that say you can't just make a good game and expect it to sell, well, yeah. Not all the time, but then again, if you make a good game, it is gonna sell. Just look at Baldur's Gate. There's no microtransactions, no nothing. It's just a good game for the base price of $80, and it's successful. It's greed. It's utter, complete greed for these companies. So besides that, The Madden series have also been going downhill. FIFA was also getting worse by each year. Now it's not FIFA no more, it's FC, so we'll see whether that is gonna be anything better. The only sports series that I liked was MLB before they introduced stats to the equipment. Should have left that out. And there's just no justifiable way they can justify a battle pass in an 80 bug game. It's ridiculous. There's no other way to explain it. It's greed, and even though people should not buy these games no more, I know there will be people who buy them. Until people start getting sick of them and force a change within them to make a good game instead of barely effort piece of shit that you should not buy. Just play the previous year, or whichever year you have will be just as good as this one, or potentially even the next one, because I don't see any time soon they switching their agenda, so to speak. I can still keep creating these same type of games over and over. But that's it for me today. I'll see you guys next time.